Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball. This is episode number 22. Opening day, ready to kick things off. So excited. First pitch, right there. It's happening in a moment. Anyway, here's a quick look at the minor league systems as we go to begin this season, and we're now in that second tier. Things are obviously different than they had been. One thing that really stands out is the teams that were at the higher level. All four of them have the best. I believe it was Monterey anyway, who faced relegation this last season. Even if it's not, three of the four best teams are the actual major league squads: Cincinnati, Miami, Oakland, right on top. Where we fit in, 13th. Not terrible, especially considering I've spent the last season and a half using that minor league system to flip for players that were ready now, because the development has happened pretty slow for a lot of these guys. So outside of those top picks that are ready to come right in and contribute, I'm not waiting 4, 5, 6 years for these guys to develop. We need to make things happen, which we've done. We've been promoted, right? Good results. Let's see if we can hang on to this level at the very least. Now, the good thing, even though we are some ways off of the top 12 and there's a very close group behind us all the way down till about 21st, meaning we're kind of just the top of the mid-level teams when it comes to those minor leagues, here's the good news. Look at the four players that stand out as our top prospects. The bad thing is we only have four now, where before we had such a long list that the fifth guy, the last one they showed on the list, was one of only 10, 12 that we had. So we have gutted that out a bit. But again, we're at a different level now. Gotta take that into account. But here's what I like about the four that we see. Kim just signed as a free agent. And Kim is almost major league ready. I put him back down to AAA 2 days ago to make room on the roster. He's literally the last hitter who got sent down to AAA. McRae was already AAA. They say he's ready, but he's not quite. He's definitely not as good as Kim, even though they're only 2 spots away from each other. But McRae came through a trade. So that's one through free agency, one gained through trade, and then Kranowski and Medej both picked up through the draft. Both of those guys were, I think top 5 picks, but not first, second kind of round. So they were up there, had some potential. They are growing. They're both, in fact, all 4 of those guys are in AAA and not far from Major League ready. So we at least have that. We have some AAA players that could step in and contribute. The other piece of good news is we actually had a good spring training, 18-10. We actually had a slow start. We were 1-4 through the first 5 games before kind of hammering out what the lineup was going to look like once I had done that. And they followed that up and played spring training through that depth chart. 17-6 the rest of the way. Pretty dang good. Pretty good. In fact, we put up the equal on second best record, half game behind Manchester Crunch in spring training. Miami was looking pretty good, but they struggled a little bit down the stretch, but they're right there behind us. In fact, we've got Fresno, Miami, and myself all had really good spring trainings. Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, Detroit were all okay. That's kind of where that ends, though. So spring training doesn't mean much. Usually hints of things, but it's certainly far from what you're going to actually get. Now I got myself down to the 26th so that we can get started on the season. I did have to make some moves along the way for that to happen. I had to part ways with Eldred, who was one of our better pitchers, but he didn't make the rotation. In fact, he was 7th on the list, and we had no options, so we couldn't send him down. Cisco also has been upgraded as a backup catcher, and those two were packaged for minor league prospects because I could not get a quality offer for an upgrade out of those two. So instead, we went the other direction and took some prospects to add to our minor league system. But here is what we look like. And at the moment, I now have 3 actual closers on the roster, and they are going to be our 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guys. Plus, we have a pretty solid one in Francisco Perez as well to be a 6th inning guy. So we have a very, very strong, deep back into our bullpen. What we have, though, for starters is kind of iffy. Brickhouse, for one thing, is not been looking so good, but he's got much better control than Davidson. His problem in control leads to a large number of walks, but he could very quickly be in the lineup besides in front of Brickhouse or Bukowskis. We'll see how things go with those guys starting out, but I definitely see a kind of a top 3 that's a bit clear of everybody else. But we had a really hard time. Last time out, I was still wanting to wheel and deal through spring training to upgrade at least our 4th starter. Couldn't get anything done. There's guys in the league that would come in and would be a number 2, number 3 starter for us. Nobody wanted to give them up. Not for the kind of things that I was willing to give up, which was, your Cisco and Eldred and Tucker Davidson, my fringe number 5 starters. That for other guys would have been solid number 4s, number 5s for some of the other teams out there, but nobody wanted them. And then, 2 or 3 prospects thrown in with that to try to get ourselves a solid number 2 guy in the rotation, and we just couldn't make it happen. Could not land a deal for anybody like that. So we move on. Brickhouse, even though he doesn't have a ton of movement, he does have a lot of velocity and high stamina, and that's part of what's kept him in the lineup. But as long as he performs and helps give our bullpen a rest day, every time he goes through the rotation, or every other time he goes through the rotation at least, then he's doing something for us that the others can't quite do, because Heisler is the only other one who's got decent stamina. Lineups haven't changed through spring training. The only big change for us was that Broyles has come in to replace Cisco, and otherwise this is our group. So they had a solid spring training, and have been the main reason why we have performed well through spring training. And here is that strength we're talking about. In comparison, we are looking pretty dang good compared to Detroit. Detroit was one of those teams that actually gained in wins above replacement. By the way, by the end of spring training, I had gained a bit too. I made some additional deals that, while it wasn't much, it was enough to push us a little bit further on that chart. Some of that through free agency, but we've got some real quality between Hudson, Winker, LeBoy, McCormick. Luke Raley's still in the middle of the lineup. We'll see how he does. I might slide him down pretty quick, as he's not looking like he had been before, but I'm so happy with not only the 9 guys we have, but about 11 guys that we have, giving us some pretty good options. Maybe even 10 guys that we have, 12 guys that we have. Just about all 13 is a group that I'm pretty happy with. One thing to keep an eye on this season is the defense. It's something that did cause some concern last season. Our pitching staff was middle, where this year they're predicted to be towards the very, very back end of the league. But the defense made things worse. I have made some upgrades with defense. Manny Perez, for example, is an upgrade. Abraham Toro, I think, is a wash. But Hudson and Rivera, especially Rivera coming in, is a slight upgrade there. So middle infield is looking really good. Winker is not good in defense. He's going to spend a lot of time at DH, but today he gets to start at first. And we're going to start the season off here. What I'm really curious about is how well the team holds up, right? The predictions state that we're going to be up there in the league. It's not going to be an automatic sort of thing. You know, we're not looking to be the best team and have the best record in the league and get automatic promotion again as we, give up a single there with that second batter. But the second out there, so far looking like we're still going to have a fairly easy season. Half inning here. Season. Jumping the gun on that one a little bit, aren't I? Well, anyway, took 4 batters, but we quickly get through that inning, and we're into the bottom of the first chance for our strong lineup. But that's the thing. We have such a strong lineup that we can get runs across the plate any inning. We have guys that can hit and get on base, and we have some guys that can hit the ball hard. Though we do have 2 Ks to start off our first inning here, but then we draw the walk, get a man on. So we've at least matched what they've done in terms of runners on base, and that ball is hit hard down the left field line. And we're going to get runners to the corners, it looks like. Ooh, he's going for it. And he gets in there. Ooh, hello. That was a triple. Are you kidding me? That went for a triple, and we have our first run in. Okay. That one chopped foul, but that's going to get caught, and that ends the inning. But not before we have a 1-run triple. Okay. But for a second there, I thought we were going to have runners at the corner or second and third. Next thing I know, we're diving in head first to third base for a triple. Anyway, my assessment of what I've seen so far, and not of this game, because one game is nothing in terms of sample size. Absolutely nothing. You can win 12-0, or you can lose 12-0 in your first game, and it's going to say nothing about how the season is to come, because that's how baseball is. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. The worst teams are still going to win a lot of games. The best teams are still going to lose a lot of games. As the season wears on, the best teams are going to win more. The worst teams are going to lose more. That one's hit a long way. It looks like it's going to get out of here. It does. 2-run homer here in the bottom of the inning, bottom of the second, and that's going to give us a 3-0 lead. I do believe that horn might have been a little loud. Crowd noise is something that I have addressed, so it should not be like it was last time we had a live game on here. But yeah, there's that lineup that can hit the ball a long way. That was Rivera who hit that one out, by the way. Our number 8 hitter, Manny Perez. He's out, but we go back to the top of the lineup, second inning, and we're already back to our leadoff hitter. So it's always a good sign. We didn't bat all the way around in one inning, but within 2 innings to do so still generally means you're going to get some runs, and we have done just that with 3 already on the board. Anyway, back to my assessment. Climbing up a tier makes me question how relevant our data is. But as I've noticed, the gap between the first and second tier, between the major leagues and the championship, is a pretty sizable gap. And so your relegated, especially 3 major league relegated teams, steal attempt, threw him out. Nice. Threw the man out on the steal attempt, and that ends the inning. We head to the bottom of the third. The gap between those 2 tiers is pretty dang big. But the gap between the second and third tier appears to be fairly minor. So for that, I feel like there's a good chance of us not only avoiding relegation, but having a good season. Our lineup on paper appears to be the best in the league. Not quite as strong as it was a year ago in terms of relation to the rest of the league, but it does appear that we're still going to be the best. Now, we did make some upgrades that have kind of helped keep us in that spot. We made a few minor upgrades. That one's hit a long way, but it does look like it's going to be caught. It is. It's top of the fourth now, by the way, as we had a quick 3 up, 3 down in the middle of the lineup in the third, so it's not like we're perfect. That one's also hit a pretty long ways, but hangs up there long enough for the left fielder to get under it. Perez makes the put out. That one also hanging up, back to back to back. Long, deep fly balls, but all hanging easily to the outfielder for the out. 3 up, 3 down. And so far, while we have given up a few hits, David Ramsey's done a good job and keeps the shutout going. Now, meanwhile, back to what I was talking about. Offensively, I think that is going to get us a lot of wins this season. Defensively is where I'm concerned. We made a couple defensive upgrades in terms of the gloves and the arms. So for that, that'll help. That'll save some runs over the course of the season. But the pitching staff, not much of an upgrade there. Right? We have a single upgrade, our third man in the lineup now. And that's it in the rotation. Otherwise, 4 of them are the same starters from a year ago who did well at the lower tier, but I worry about how they'll do here. I think, you've got to add at least a run to the ERA of those 4 guys, all of them. So if we're giving up 4 more runs every 5 games, that's going to amount to something. That is definitely going to amount to something. Now, that's over 9. Bullpen, we did make a couple upgrades to the bullpen. It's stronger than it was. So, does that make up for it? I don't think so. I'm thinking we're at least 3 runs every 5 games down from where we were. So, that's, that amounts to 0.6 of a run a game. Something along those lines. Because of the climb in level. So I am, a little nervous. A little nervous about how we're going to do defensively this season. Now, Ramsey David is a good pitcher. He's going to do well. He's going to help us get some wins. But he's not the best pitcher in the league. In fact, none of my guys are anywhere near that list. Nice. Good job getting the lead runner on that one. Thought we had a chance at 2, but they do that all the time. Tempted steal. Another throw out. Yeah, got him pretty easily. All right, well, let's go ahead and speed things up in this one. Again, my assessment is I think we're going to be fine in terms of relegation. I'm not sure if we're going to properly be in the playoff picture or not this season. I think we might need to make some upgrades to the pitching staff to really contend, but we'll see if that offense can actually carry us that far. That one hit down the line. That's going to be an easy 2. He's in there. Winker hits that one hard. Second baseman makes the dive for it, but cannot get it. They're going to hold runners at the corners. I'm trying to speed things up, but it's not letting me do so at the moment. It keeps unending it. That line drive is going to drop short of the right fielder. He's going to catch the one hopper. Everybody advances 1 base, and we add a 4th run in this game. There we go. Okay. Let's kind of get through a couple quick at-bats here and see what happens. Pass ball. Runners advance. Still nobody out. Runners on the corners. Luke Raley drives that one. Should be an easy out if they can get him. They do. I think they got him. Yes. 1 out. But we do get the fielder's choice to advance the run, and that's 2 for the inning, 5 for the game. Strike 3 there, 2 outs. Toro, the third baseman, the new third baseman. Ooh, center fielder just reaching that one. He had a bit of a shift on, and we ended up driving that to deep left center. Mostly center. If he was in a standard position, that's an easy out, but where he was located, that gave us a chance for that to drop. He gets there in time. All right, let's go ahead and now push through half inning, Top of the 7th, no runs. Bottom of the 7th, no runs. Top of the 8th, shutout still on. We add a 6th in the 8th. It looks like we've got the first win of the season secured. It is Lancelotti who is entering the 9th. That is our starting pitcher from AAA who's been ready for a long time, who I've converted to a reliever. He's also our long reliever, but his general job is as a middle reliever. He's only thrown 1 inning. He had 2 strikeouts. And what will he do here? He's going to keep the shutout. So we do come away with the win on opening day. It's always nice to have those. 6-0. 1 win in the bag. And it was a good one. You can see how strong the middle of the lineup was. Hudson, 2 for 4. Winker, 1 for 3 with a couple runs scored and a walk. LeBoy, 3 for 4 with 3 RBI in this one. Rayleigh was quiet. He's one we got to worry about. He left a few runners on base in this game. Toro also 0 for 4, leaving 4 on base. So a couple worrying signs about those guys, but McCormick, the other one who's probably going to swap with Rayleigh at some point. But some of the lineup has to do with the left-right, pitching matchups. So after the first 10 games, we are 6-4. And there's a trend that, at least to some extent, makes perfect sense. We won our first 3 and then lost 2. We won our next 3 and then lost 2. So the 3 pitchers that I'm more confident in did well. The other 2, not as much. But when you look a little closer, it's not quite what you think. The first game on the 18th was a 6-0. This was all spring training. But starting here on the 18th, so we won 6-0, right? That's the one we saw. But then, the next game, our number 2 guy didn't have a great game. We just happened to win in 10 innings. It was 8-7. How much of that was bullpen? How much of that was the starter? We don't know without going into too much detail. But then, yes, our third starter had a solid performance. And then we lost 3-9. So, yes, 0-5. First starts for those 2 guys, not good. Not good. But, 5's not terrible. I don't know if he pitched how many innings, though, right? How much of that was him? How much of it bullpen? Again, too many variables that we don't know without going game by game by game by game. But solid second performance from our top guy, Ramsey David. Yeah, he's a good one. 7-0 in the second game, so great bounce back after struggling through the first game of the season. 6-4. Not as good as the first performance, but still good, and good enough with the offense's help to win. But here, it's the offense that let us down. 0-2. The offense failed to score. We only gave up 2 runs. Even if both of those runs came from the starter, he did well enough to earn the win. The offense just didn't get it done on that particular day, like they didn't on this particular day. Or in the latest back-to-back 0-2 loss. So the offense has been shut out for a couple days here. But again, there are so many variables in play. 2 starts is not much of a sample size by any stretch of the imagination. You have home games, you have away games. You have good opponents, you have bad opponents. You face a great starter one day, you face a weak starter another day. So there's just way too much going on. But one thing that has happened is those top 3 guys have won each of their games. The bottom 2 guys have lost each of their games. That's about all we can say with any kind of certainty. Brickhouse, 6.5 on the ERA through 1 game worth of innings pitched. Bukowskis, the other, 5.5. So neither one of them is doing terrible, but neither one of them is doing necessarily good at this point. And here's what I was talking about. Bukowskis, 4.5 runs last season. So far, 5.5 runs. Exactly 1 more than what it was. Brickhouse a little bit higher on that one, but I would imagine he was the one that had that pretty bad first start. Ramsey David, on the other hand, has been excellent so far. He's not going to stay at a 1.29. Imagine that's going to rise 3.5 or 4 runs a game. Heisler, He's had the mixed performance, one good, one okay. He's been good so far. Nowicki, the other strong one, he's in good shape so far. But again, we're talking about 9-10 innings total. It's not enough to speak on too much at this point. It's not a bad pitching staff. They're not awful, but they're far from perfect. So far, the only bullpen guy who's had any struggles has been Talton. 6 innings, 5.5 on his ERA. He's easily replaceable. He's one of the last guys in. We have had to already go to AAA. Cervello, who pitched with us last season, has been called up from AAA after we had a 4-month injury to one of the bullpen middle relievers, one of the last guys. I forget who it is, but I've got some depth there, so it's okay. But what we do know is we are going to win some games. That much is confirmed with our 6-4 record so far. Nothing about that being the rate. Not saying it's going to be 600, but we're definitely going to win some games. I don't think we're facing relegation. I think that much can be confirmed in the early stages of the season. It looks like we are certainly capable of winning some games. What the balance is going to be in the end, I don't know, but I don't think we're going to be one of the bottom teams. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.